Hey guys, this is Matt with Hydroponics.com, and today we're going to be talking about spider mite control, how to take care of some spider mites, where they come from, and some of the products we use to control them. So first we'll talk about where spider mites usually come from. One really simple way they make it into your room is through air that you're blowing into your room to control temperature. Especially in some of the cooler states, a lot of people like to use outside air to cool their room down to substitute for air conditioning, and it's really recommended to filter that air. They make HEPA filters, inline HEPA filters, and they also make just screens that wrap around the very end of your line where the air is actually making its way out, or you can put it at the very beginning where it's sucking air in. Either way, should stop any of the pests from making your way into your room. The most common way that spider mites make their way into your room is going to be on your clothing or on your shoes, on your body usually, and or on new plants. Both those ways are really common. Pets also happen if you let your pets in your room. Cats, I know, like to hang out in gardens a lot, and some people like to have their dogs. They can harbor some pests, so that's something to think about. But mostly new plants and your actual clothing that you're wearing are going to be the culprit. If you've been doing yard work, if you've been out in the yard a lot, or cleaning any kind of yard waste stuff, especially, really think about that before you make your way into your garden. I'd recommend taking a shower or at least changing all your clothes before you go in there. That's one way that you can just bring them right in and really hurt yourself. The other way that happens a ton is somebody gets another plant from somebody else and introduces it to their garden without quarantining it, and then it comes back to haunt them later. So easy ways, if you are going to grab a plant from somebody else, make sure that you have a little quarantine area. Maybe treat it with something like one of these that we'll talk about here in a second. A couple treatments, give it a week or so, and then after everything's all clear, move it into your actual garden there. That's a really common way to bring spider mites into your garden. So some of the things we'll use to kill spider mites are going to be the Mighty Wash, the Green Cleaner, insect killing soap, and AzaMax. There's two different methods here. These are contact killers. They kill the spider mites when they touch them, the eggs and the adults. And this is more of an anti-feedant. It basically affects how they grow and how they eat and kills them over starvation over a little bit longer period. The spider mite's life cycle is anywhere from about 3 days to all the way up to about 3 weeks. And in perfect conditions at about 80 degrees and probably 45-50% humidity, they can last all the way up to almost 4 weeks long. Female adults can lay several hundred eggs in that period. And so we always want to do 2 applications of these products in case we've missed anything on the first application. The eggs, which take about 3 days to hatch, if we spray 3 days after the first application, we're getting them right as they come out of their eggs where they're still not sexually mature yet, and they can't go and produce any more eggs. So 2 applications is usually recommended, all the way up to 3 applications if you got a really bad problem. And then also just clean your room in between cycles, and or pull all the plants out of that room while you're doing your spray and sterilize your room down. A tablespoon per gallon of bleach is a great way to go, or 30% alcohol to about 70% water is also a great easy way to sterilize your room. So some of these products we'll talk about. The Mighty Wash is also, like I said, contact killer. It's majority of it's water. There's some proprietary ingredients in there, some debate what it is, but we all know it works really well and it's real gentle on plants. Like I said, I think it's 99% or 99+% just water, so it's a very gentle one, and a lot of people that have a really bad problem in flower that just are against the wall and don't want to use anything that would hurt their plants. Nobody wants to spray in flower or on anything you're going to eat or any kind of last minute harvest stuff, but this is a really gentle one. Being majority water, it's one that we sell a lot of. This one is a newer one on the market, the Green Cleaner, but it's been super popular for us. It's majority isopropyl alcohol and a bunch of essential oils. The alcohol dehydrates them. The essential oils helps to repel them, and also just generally affects their life cycles. And it also fights against powder mold, which is a little added benefit, which is another reason people have been picking it up, because depending on where you live, spring and fall, it can be a little tricky with that. Once again, bringing it in on your clothes and stuff like that. So this is a great way to kill 2 birds with one stone there. And then the insect killing soap is another one. This is once again a contact killer, and it affects them by basically smothering them, clogging their pores up, and affecting how they respirate, and eventually killing them over a little bit longer period of time, but nonetheless killing them. It also dehydrates the eggs. And so this is a good one. I would say this is probably the little bit more sensitive one out of these two. This one will have a little bit more of an effect on your plant. We've seen a little bit more burning on stuff, but just use it a little bit more sparingly. And also just rinse it off possibly the next day. And then last but not least, the AzaMax. There are other anti-feed-ins, but this is the really main one that we saw a ton of. Listed pesticide, miticide, insecticide. And this is where this basically affects how the bugs grow and how they eat. And it basically starves them out and messes their life cycle up over a little bit longer period of time. Being that it's neem-based, it will affect flavor and stuff, so it's mostly used in veg, and also it's a great preventative for a multitude of pests amongst spider mites. So yeah, these are all great products. Depending on where you're at in your cycle, you might want to choose one or the other. But when we are spraying our plants for spider mites, what we're looking for first is if you're seeing any indications of very small yellow to white spotting on any of your leaves, that's an indication of spider mite bites. And if you flip those leaves over and you see anything running around or any kind of small thin webbing, sometimes it even looks like little shiny spots on the bottom of your leaves that will catch the light. Those are the eggs. That's an indication that you got spider mites, and the sooner you can get them under control, the better. And so if you see anything like that in your room, do some investigation, maybe use your scope if you need to identify what it is. And then we're going to spray the plant head to toe, every leaf, every nook and cranny, because it needs to touch them, especially the contact killers needs to touch whatever it's going to kill. This does have some more residual effects, but it also is used basically just spraying the entire plant head to toe. And then you usually want to do that under low light conditions, so turn your big lights off, or if you're outside, not in the middle of the day. And then let your room dry out, let your plants dry out before you put your plants back in there and turn the lights back on. Or, like I said, do it in the morning so that your plants have time to dry off before the sun comes out. And then last but not least, some people do like to come by the next day and mist them down with water just to help rinse off any of this residual stuff, to help alleviate any kind of stress, especially since these are contact killers. They basically done their job at that point. And that can also just be a good practice to get into. Spray twice a week. Once every 3 to 5 days, like we said, just to try to catch them before they get to sexual maturity. 2 to 3 applications should be good, especially with a room sterilization and cleaning your clothes up or changing the way that you coming out of your garden should be enough to get them under control. So all these products and a whole bunch more are available on our website at 4hydroponics.com. Appreciate you checking out the video, and we'll see you next time.